This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Welcome in to another edition of the Patriots Drive Podcast. Patriots match up against the Carolina Panthers on the road Sunday, November 7th at 1 p.m. Should be a good game. Panthers have struggled recently, but Christian McCaffrey might be back. Sam Darnold might be getting healthy again, and Gilmore is probably going to be having a little more snaps than last week. This defense is definitely a problem, so it's going to be a challenge for this offense, and depending on their weapons on the offensive side of the ball for the Panthers, it's going to be another solid test for our defense, and we'll see how we match up, but should be a good one this weekend. Big game. Both teams 4-4. I mean, if you want to make the playoff push, now's the time. Really building off the momentum from the past couple of weeks to beat a Panthers team who's struggled recently, and then got a couple of games coming up that might be tough. The Browns, Titans, Bills, Falcons, all that stuff. So should be a good one though. I'm here with my co-host Jace Campbell. How's it going, Jace?
It's going good. I'm excited to watch the Patriots go for their fourth straight win. They need it. It's going to be big. We are 500, get above 500 now. And against a team that looked really good to start the season and it's kind of fallen off since the loss of Christian McCaffrey. He did practice today, very limited, and Sam Darnold was very limited. So it'll be a weird preview episode as we really don't know the status of them. We can only assume. But nevertheless, this is a good defense. Top 5 in the league in sacks at 24 sacks. And then Sam Darnold has looked great at times and looked bad at times. So we'll see what Sam Darnold we get on Sunday and if the Patriots defense can continue their great play. But I'm excited to see what they can do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of people are kind of underestimating this matchup a little bit just because of how poorly the Panthers have been in, the recent past few weeks. But this team, you could, immediately notice the drop-off. Once they lost Christian McCaffrey, this offense changed as a whole. Teams could stop it a lot easier, and their defense couldn't carry them enough. I mean, it's hard to win football games when your team's not putting out more than 10 to 15 points. It puts a lot of stress on a defense, but this defense is legit. They're going to be a problem. It's going to be a really tough game offensively for us. Recently the Panthers have struggled a little bit more against the run than early on, but I still think they're a great run defense. They have some legit pass rushers, linebackers, and their secondaries. The secondary's playing really, really well right now, even if they're a little banged up back there. But it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good test for this team, who has showed they got some fight in them the past 2 weeks and that they're starting to roll a little bit. So if this team continues to play how they played the past couple weeks and maybe even improve on how they played last week, I think there's no reason we can't win this game. But I do think it's going to be closer than some people think.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game, and I wouldn't take it lightly by any means, because if Christian McCaffrey comes back, he's a game-changing type of player, and even if he is coming off of a 4-game absence and being on IR, he can change the game just with his presence. He doesn't have to have the ball. Bill Belichick, he's going to be the guy that New England's scheming to take away, and that could open up opportunities for other people. With the lack of secondary depth that we have right now, it kind of worries me a little bit. I don't think that they have the greatest receivers. DJ Moore looked great early. Robbie Anderson has the ability. Sam Darnold hasn't really developed chemistry with him. But Christian McCaffrey, the offense goes as Christian McCaffrey goes, as you saw, first 3 weeks, they're 3-0, and the last 4, they're 1-3. So it's going to be interesting to see how Bill game plans to take him away, whether he plays or not, and who we match up with him, whether it's Kyle Duggar in the box a little bit more and helping him on pass routes, or if he does line up Juwan Bentley, Jamie Collins, guys like that to help Christian or to guard Christian McCaffrey. And it can be a long day for us, but we got to settle in on defense, figure it out early, and make Sam Darnold uncomfortable, because he's still the same guy that's susceptible to making mistakes like we saw with the Jets. He's just, been playing. He's playing for a better organization, whether you like it or not. He's playing for a Panthers team who is not, they have the offensive lineman that can protect him. He has time to throw the ball. He can get it downfield. DJ Moore is great. Christian McCaffrey's game changing. So he's playing. He's still the same old guy though. If you force him into bad mistakes, he's still going to make them up. And I guarantee you, he remembers playing the Patriots two times a year when he was on the Jets. So he's going to know what he's in for.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Christian McCaffrey just takes a lot of pressure off a quarterback like that, especially you're in a new offense. you're trying to prove something. You struggled with the previous team you were on. You want to prove to them, hey, you should have kept me. I'm gonna show what I can do with this team once I have a better supporting cast and a better organization behind me. So I think McCaffrey just takes a lot of pressure off his back because he knows, hey, I don't have to be perfect. If I don't see a guy down the field, I can toss it to McCaffrey and he's going to make a play. He's going to make guys miss. He's going to get 10, 15 yards and I can throw it to him 15 times a game because he's that kind of back who he just, I mean, he has so much volume. He's such a volume back. He gets so many touches and carries. He's such a big part of their game plan that when they lose a guy like that, it hurts and it changes their offense completely and it makes them more one-dimensional. They can't run the ball as well. Sam Darnold doesn't have as good of a check down option who can really create and get first downs and extend the chains and extend drives. So it's going to be a big deal whether he plays or not. He's for sure a game changer. So my gut says he's going to play, but even if he does play, I would hope the Panthers organization says, hey, this is a guy that's very important to us. We need to limit his touches a little bit, just ease him in a little bit more. I think he's definitely going to be itching to get back on that football field. So it's going to be interesting to see whether he plays or not. Some people I've talked to said they don't think he's going to play. I mean, they're going to have till Saturday to find out. So on Saturday, we will know whether they bring him up to the active roster or not. So we're going to know by then. And it's going to be a big deal whether he's in this game or not.
Yeah. So just looking at Pro Football Focus, the offense had a significant drop off. Their passing efficiency first 3 games, 79.4, 69.9, 76.3. The first game that McCaffrey's not there, they dropped down to a 53.4 against the Cowboys, 42.5 against the Eagles, 53.5 against the Vikings, and a 36.2 against the Giants. And then last week in their first win since McCaffrey's been hurt, they had a 79 even, according to Pro Football Focus. So you can just see, like you just mentioned, how Christian McCaffrey can take the pressure off of a quarterback. They were rolling, and the running game was setting up the passing game. And once Christian McCaffrey ran out, it put more pressure on him because Chuba Hubbard's still a rookie. He's still, going through some of those things. They don't want to wear him out and put 25 carries, 25 touches on him like they do, excuse me, Christian McCaffrey. So it's totally different when he's in the game, when he's not. So that will be a big storyline to keep up with the next couple of days to see if he gets more snaps in practice and if he's going to be available. And then the other thing that we're not talking about is Sam Darnold. He is still questionable with a concussion. If not, it's going to be their backup who I don't even know his name. It's Walker something, or it's something
PJ
Walker. PJ Walker, not
from the XFL.
Yeah. Oh, he's good. XFL, right? Great. So that's another storyline too, right? If it's Sam Darnold, get at him early and often. If it's PJ Walker, is it PJ you said?
Yep.
PJ Walker, if it's him, you still get after him early. You make him make some mistakes early and put your pedal to the metal and, hopefully run away with this game by the second quarter. So whoever's starting at quarterback, pressure is going to be the key.
Yeah, for sure. And I think PJ Walker trains with Tim Jenkins. Have you seen any of his stuff, his breakdowns on quarterbacks? He was a former quarterback, but yeah, Evan Lazar tweeted today that he might be more scared of PJ Walker than Sam Darnold. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I think this team knows Darnold pretty well and knows what confuses him. So it's going to be interesting. I think if they can confuse Sam Darnold and all these rookies, I'm sure they can confuse a guy who was in the XFL and probably doesn't have nearly as much experience as some of these other quarterbacks we played. So I'm sure we could take advantage of either quarterback. Probably PJ Walker we'd be able to take advantage of a little bit more, but I think his athleticism adds a little bit of another dimension to the game that Sam Darnold doesn't really have. So might be more creative with PJ Walker and doing stuff like that. So either way, there's a couple big injuries for this Panthers team, and it's really gonna depend on what their status is late in the week. Sam Darnold was extremely limited today, their coach said, and then McCaffrey was pretty limited. So I don't know. It's really tough to say. That's what's going to be tough about previewing this and doing score predictions and over-unders is it really depends on who plays. I mean, if McCaffrey and Sam Darnold both don't play, this is going to be a completely different football game than if they both do play. You know what I mean? It's going to be a much harder test if both of those guys are on the field. So it's really going to come down to the health of their players and who ends up suiting up and who doesn't.
Yeah, and Sam Darnold, I kind of hit on this earlier, still susceptible to turnovers. He's every game he's having turnover worthy plays. He's had 12 turnover worthy plays according to Pro Football Focus in his 8 games played, because he went out early in the Seattle game.
Yep.
But he's still putting the ball in harm's way, and that's the one thing you don't want to give a guy like Sam Darnold, is a little bit of confidence early, because that's when he can hurt you. You jump on him early, like some of these teams have, where he's thrown multiple interceptions. He had 2 interceptions against the Saints, 2 interceptions against the Cowboys. 2 interceptions against the Cowboys, 3 interceptions against the Eagles. One interception against the Saints. He's still thrown. Has 7 touchdowns on the year and 8 interceptions. So, I mean, we're getting in Cam Newton territory right there last year. So I mean,
at least Cam Newton had rushing touchdowns last year. You know what I mean?
Right. And Sam Darnold actually has a couple rushing touchdowns. Surprisingly, I'd have to figure out that. I remember he had a game with 3 of them, I think.
Wow.
But yeah, so he's not going to hurt us with his feet by any means. I'm just saying that. But no, 1,800 yards on the year for Sam Darnold. 7 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He's still capable of throwing the ball all over the yard to his receivers, but we can shut him down and get some matchups, favorable matchups. I like what our secondary can do this game, getting turnovers at least.
Yeah, he's got some talent for sure. I mean, he just hasn't. I don't know. He just makes some really questionable decisions, and that's what's tough about it, is you don't really. I don't know why he makes his decisions. A lot of quarterbacks. I mean, it looked like early on in the year when he was playing good football, he was utilizing his check down quite often with Christian McCaffrey. When you got a playmaker like that, that's easy. But it's kind of just head scratching some of the throws he makes, and that's what gets him in trouble, when he just kind of throws the ball up for grabs and throws it into double coverage and is seeing ghosts and stuff like that. So it's gonna kind of depend on what version we get of Sam Darnold if he is out there. But I like our chances, taking advantage of him, being able to get pressure on him, and it's going to be a big factor in this game. If we can get pressure on Sam Darnold and play solid in the back end, they have some talent. DJ Moore is a good receiver. Robbie Anderson's a decent receiver. Apparently today, Robbie Anderson said that Belichick had some interest in him this offseason, which was kind of surprising to me. I didn't think he would really be a guy that we'd be interested in, but I guess he was. But we've really shut down him anytime we played him, Robbie Anderson. That was usually with Stephon Gilmore. I know they had a thing where they were kind of talking trash back and forth to each other, and Gilmore continued to just shut him down week after week. But yeah, they got some playmakers, and if McCaffrey's on the field, it's going to provide a safety outlet for Sam Darnold if we do pressure him and we do confuse him. So we'll see what that matchup ends up being.
Yeah, and we kind of hit on this when we were talking about pressures. I just wanted to pull up some of these pressures allowed. So the person that's allowed the most pressures for the New England Patriots, Isaiah Wynn, 16. Justin Herron not far behind him on 15. Carolina has 3 guys over that. So they have Cam Irving, who is going to be one of their tackles. He has 20 pressures. He's given up 1 sack on the year. Sorry. John Miller, who's going to be a guard, 19 pressures, 3 sacks on the year. And then they have, where's the other one? Sorry. Taylor Motton, who's another tackle, played 343 snaps. He's given up 18 pressures, 0 sacks, but 16 hurries. That's the type of stuff we're talking about. Sacks are great and all, but pressures get into the quarterback and taking advantage of this offensive lineman. They are very slim on the offensive line. They don't have a true great offensive lineman. They're dealing with some injuries there too. I look for Uche, Judon, Barmore, Godchow, Van Noy, who's ever lined up against them, to take advantage of them and build to get the one-on-one matchup so that we can beat them off the edge and get some pressure and hopefully get a little. I haven't seen a strip sack this year from New England. Maybe I'm blanking one, but
We've
I haven't
gotten
seen
strip sacked, but we haven't gotten strip sack.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think that we have gotten one. This would be a great time to get one on Sam Darnold.
I know Cam in preseason got strip sacked by Chase. No. Washington football team.
Chase Young, Montez Sweat.
Yes, yeah. Thank you.
One
Chase
of them.
Young, flying off the edge,
Chase
beating Isaiah Wynn like it was nothing. Just, I mean, like he wasn't even there. And then Mac obviously got absolutely destroyed in the Cowboys game. But I don't recall that we've had a strip sack on our end yet. So that would be big. and we saw it. Sacks are great, but if you can't get a sack, getting pressure is almost just as good sometimes, because that was what Herbert struggled with all last weekend. Was he was trying to get the ball out quickly because he felt we were getting pressure a decent amount, and Judon was in his face all the time. Van Noy, they were both getting held. Some holding calls weren't getting called. That was what made him release that ball so quickly to Jared Cook, and how he got that pick six is because he was under pressure. He felt he had to get the ball out quickly. He kind of made a throw earlier than he should have, and that's what happens. You get turnovers out of that sometimes. So if we can just make, even if we don't get sacks on him, or even if we don't get a strip sack, if we can just make him feel the pressure, he's going to make some bad decisions. He's going to have to make some really quick decisions. And I think if we force Sam Darnold to make quick decisions all afternoon, it's going to go in our favor. So that's what I'm looking to see from this defensive line and these linebackers. If we can put pressure on them and swing a couple things, mix some things up in the back end, I think we should be able to have a good day. It's just going to depend on if McCaffrey's out there and if he has that safety outlet or not. And that we'll really see how that ends up turning out.
Yeah, 20 total pressures last week on Justin Herbert. 10 of them from Matt Judon. I know that you put that on your story, but 3 for Barmore, 2 for Uche, 1 for Guy, 1 for Miles Bryant, 1 for Adrian Phillips, 1 for Godchow, 1 for Jamie Collins. I mean, you see it there. Obviously, Matt Judon had a heck of a day, but you're getting, geez, I need a water, my bad, 6 other guys on the team that are at least getting pressure. And we ended up having 4 sacks on the day, 2 of them to Judon, 1 of them to Barmore, 1 of them to Lawrence Guy. And so, you know, that those 4 sacks are great, but the 20 QB pressures, that's insane. 13 hurries, 3 of them hits. I mean, that's a number that you would like to see consistently by this defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what they're capable of when they're playing well and mixing things up. That's what this defense can do. So for them to be an elite defense and not just be a little bit above average, they got to consistently get pressure on quarterbacks, because our secondary is not as good as it's been in the past. We lost a couple guys. We don't have Gilmore. We don't have John Jones. So that's what this defensive line has to do. Last year, we had 0 defensive line. So we basically dropped into coverage and just hoped that we could get pressure with 3 or 4 guys, and it didn't work out. But our secondary was good enough to where they made up for that sometimes. So now it's not the complete opposite, because our secondary is still good, but now our defensive line and linebackers have to get a little more pressure to make up for some of the holes that we have in the secondary, and give some guys like Miles Bryant a little more time, and make sure they're not having to cover for 6-7 seconds and kind of screwing our secondary over. So getting pressure, making quarterbacks rush throws. And even if we don't get pressure, if we're consistently getting pressure, a quarterback before the snap is going to be thinking about that. And they're going to be thinking, okay, I'm probably going to have to get the ball out quick here. And then even if he's not getting pressured, he might throw it quicker than he wants to, because he's been feeling the pressure all day. So it makes quarterbacks a little more skittish and feel like they got to get the ball out quickly. And it's going to be a big part of this game.
Yeah. And another big one is just straight up tackling. Getting to, geez, I only cough when I have to talk. This is crazy bad. It's when it's getting to McCaffrey, getting him down on the ground when we tackle him at the line of scrimmage or beyond it. It's not letting him squeak out, because he's a very elusive guy. The other guy that's elusive, DJ Moore, 5.2 yards after the catch. Not like significantly good. It's not in the double digits like some guys are that are leading the league. The number 1 guy is Rondell Moore for the Cardinal, who has 10.3. So it's about half of that. But still, I mean, if he's getting 5 yards after the catch, every catch, and he has 8 catches a game, that's 45 extra yards. And that's, not saying he doesn't have a 20-yard reception and turn it into 25. And I mean, so you got to get him on the ground. JC Jackson, Jonathan Jones, Miles Bryant, Justin Bethel, Juwan Williams, guys in the secondary got to be able to tackle one-on-one these receivers once they catch the ball and limit big plays down the field after the catch.
Yeah, I am excited to see this game, though. I mean, if McCaffrey does play, obviously, like we've kind of talked about, it's gonna be a much different game, but it's gonna be exciting. I think it's gonna be a really tough test for this offense, and with how they've been rolling a little bit, putting up that 54 points against the Jets, that's one thing, but I mean, this Panthers defense is really good, and it's gonna be a big test not only for our wide receivers going up against Gilmore and company, but our offensive line. We've seen this group has been improved over their group early in the season, where this offensive line was really struggling, but it's going to be a big test for Isaiah Wynn, especially. But Mike Onwenu, He was phenomenal at right tackle last week. I think he only allowed one pressure to Joey Bosa all day, and he wasn't on him every snap, but he was on him quite often, and he made some really big blocks. And he's a stud. I mean, he's really great out there at right tackle, and in every game we see him continue to improve and keep playing so solid. It makes me feel like when Trent gets back, that Onwenu maybe should stay at that right tackle position. He might be our best right tackle, with Trent being able to play that left tackle for Isaiah Wynn if he keeps struggling. So we'll see how that occurs. We might not have to worry about it because Trent might never be back. So we'll see how that goes. Didn't come to practice again today, so still on IR. There's been no update on his situation. We'll get into that more with the injury report, but I am excited. I think it's going to be a really tough test for this offense, and I'm excited to see how they progress and if they can keep up executing well, even if it's a tough defense and a tough challenge, if they can keep moving the sticks, making the right throws, making the right catches, and running the ball effectively.
Yeah, you talk about a tough test. You just said it. Carolina is 4th in the league at points per game, at like 19.9. New England's right behind them at 8th with 20 point. I have it right here. It's blocked by what I'm trying to pull up next, by 20.5. So it's a very similar recipe for success for Carolina as it is for New England. I think, we only average 25 points per game, which is still good for 10th in the league. Carolina is only averaging 20.6, which is 22nd in the league. So they want to rely on their defense shutting you out and chewing time off the clock by running the ball, getting short little passes, play action set up for Sam Darnold. So I think this is a very interesting matchup. Both teams very similar, want to go through their defense, have the ability to score points. I mean, we all saw what New England can do against the Jets. We saw what they can do against a good Chargers defense too. And then Carolina hasn't, they've scored some points. They put up 28 against Minnesota, 28 against Dallas, 24 against Houston, and 26 against New Orleans. So they've put up a good amount of points against decent competition. But their problem is they've given up in those games that they've lost. Obviously, they gave up 36 at Dallas. They lost one game, losing 18-21 to the Eagles. Like, you expect to win those games when you hold a team to 21. So it's going to be interesting to see what Panthers team we get, whether it's a team that's going to play really good defense and really good offense, or probably really good defense and not as good of offense. So it will be good. New England has to be on their A game, though. They can't come out and sleep and say, hey, we got a big time win in LA. We're getting some recognition by the media. People might think we're legit. No, you got to go in there. This team was 3-0 at the start of the year for a reason.
Yeah. And that's what I'm happy that we have the veterans in the locker room that we do, because if it's a young team like this, they might be starting to feel themselves and might get complacent. But Devin McCourty said it the other day. He was like, hey, we're 4-4. We got a lot of football. We're a 500 team. If we want to make the playoffs, we got a lot of football left. We got to play, and we got to play well. So this is the teams they got to beat, especially if McCaffrey's out or Sam Darnold's out. You got to win these games. You got to win them handedly. You got to leave no question about it. Going to 5-4 would be huge going into our stretch here. We got the Browns next, Falcons, Titans, Bills, Colts, Bills, Jags, Dolphins. So there's not many. I mean, maybe the Jaguars is, and I wouldn't even say the Dolphins, because we always struggle in Miami for some reason, but I'd say the Jaguars are the only real gimme game that we have left on the schedule. So you can't lose games like this. I think it's going to be a closer game than people expect, but if this team wants to be a playoff contender, you got to win this week. And Browns are a tough team. Bills twice, Titans, Colts, Dolphins. Those are all teams that are going to be really tough tests, and you're not going to win all those games. I'd be shocked if we won all those games. Obviously, Buffalo is going to be a very tough test. So if we lose two more, if we end up losing both to Buffalo, that brings us to 6 losses on the year. You can't lose many more games if you want to be a playoff team. So this is a game that they got to win, and I think the veteran leadership in this locker room, guys like Judon, McCourty, Slater, all those guys, they know, hey, we got to keep this team grounded, and we're only as good as our next performance. So we're 4-4. Yep. Let's ride this hot streak. Let's not get complacent. Let's ride it, and let's continue to get wins and make a little playoff run here. This is the time to do it. This is the perfect time, this mid-season schedule against some tough teams. This is where you want to make your playoff push and give yourself a real shot later in the season.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up this stat too. I feel like we've talked about this a lot, but in So for the year, New England's 53.5% scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Over our last 3 games, that we are at 75%. Big difference. Big reason we're winning these games now instead of losing close ones. Carolina on the flip side is 56% on the year, 42.8% touchdowns in the red zone the last 3 games. Obviously, they were 1-3 in those last 3 games. So I continue to score in the red zone and continue to hold teams to field goals. If Carolina gets in there, which I'm sure they get in there a time or two, this is the NFL. I mean, you're not playing against many incompetent teams and everyone's at this level for a reason. So they might get in there a time or two, but hold them out. If they get in twice, hold them to 1 touchdown. If they get in 3 times, hold them to 1 still. If they get 2 touchdowns on 3 trips, 66%, that's a little scary. If they get in 4 times, you hope they don't. Hold them to 2, maybe ideally 1. So I look to continue our red zone scoring on offense and continue to hold teams. And, hopefully Carolina continues to struggle putting touchdowns in the red zone.
Yeah, and if you look at their scoring at the beginning of the year, first 3 games, they were averaging like 26 points a game. And since then, I'd say they're averaging, high teens, low 20s tops. Since then they scored 28 against the Cowboys, 18 against the Eagles, 28 against the Vikings, 3 against the Giants, 19 against the Falcons. So, maybe low 20s that they're averaging since then. So this team, when they got McCaffrey, they got weapons. If we had DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Christian McCaffrey, I'd be very happy with that. I think that's a solid team. You got some weapons on that team that we got to worry about. So it's not going to be an easy game by any means, but they're a much different team with and without him. And if he's on the field, it's going to be a challenge. We're going to have to be aware where he is on all downs and at all times, because he's a guy that even if you give him 1 yard of separation and he makes a catch, he can make guys miss. He's very shifty. He's very versatile. So you got to be stuck to him in coverage if you're on him. And we're going to have a linebacker like Jimmy Collins, or maybe even a safety play on a running back like him, guy at the line of scrimmage, watching where he's going. Somebody's always got to be paying attention to where he is. So it's going to be key to, if they do get down in that red zone area, to stop them. But we also got to do the same thing on offense. We got to take advantage of those opportunities. Last week, that wasn't enough. The only reason that we put up the 27 points we did is because we got a pick 6, and other than that, we really didn't play that well in the red zone. We had that one. We had 2 drives where we're inside the 10, and we got 3 points out of it total. That you can't have that when you're inside the 10-yard line twice. You can't get 3 points. That's ridiculous. That's going to kill you. You're not going to beat good teams like that. That's why that win was so almost encouraging against the Chargers, is because this team did not play near perfect, and we still won the football game against a good football team. So that's very encouraging, but that's not going to happen every week. You're not going to be able to struggle in the red zone like we did last week and win many games in the NFL. So it's going to be a big test, and we're going to have to prove that we can continue to be efficient in the red zone.
Yeah. And, talking about red zone, talk about third down conversion percentage. Carolina, very, very good on third down defensively. They allow 31.9% third down conversion. So, when we're on offense, getting in a third down, that's about 1 in every 3, give or take a little. And then on the flip side of that, we're 40%. So a little high. I'd like to see us, break out of there. I think Mac Jones has been good on getting us out of third downs and, keeping the chains going, but winning first down, getting a good gain on first down, whether it's with the run, play action, or something, is the key to that. And I think Carolina does a good thing with that, knocking out the run early early in possessions where you're in second and longs, second and mediums, and, maybe you get a sack or something. So, and then that makes it third and long. So I look for us to have success on third down. Also, that's going to be a big key in the game. If we're under 40% or under 30%, I think this is a very, very close game, closer than it probably should be.
Yeah, I agree. And this defense is good. So it's going to be a big test. We were very, very good on third down against, I think, the Jets. And we've been a decent third down team most of the year. When we've struggled is when we've been poor on third down and when we haven't been executing and moving the chains. That's something we got to do. And a big key to that is getting ahead of the chains in early downs. So Damian Harris and this offensive line, when they've been playing well these past few weeks, Damian Harris has been able to run the ball. Ramondre Stevenson has been able to run the ball, and we've been able to get ahead of the chains and ahead of the sticks. That opens up the playbook a lot more, where we can, on 3rd and 1, we can either run it up the gut or do that little Mac rolling out to the right, quick pass to Jacoby for 3 yards and a first down, which has seemed to work every time, except that one time where Mac threw it in the Dolphins game just out of Jacoby's hands, just out of reach. So it's going to be a big key, like we talked about, 3rd down, being efficient, but also getting ahead of the chains and making sure that we can run the ball effectively and open up a lot of options for this offense.
For sure. Well, let's get into the injury report, unless you have anything else to preview. Let's get into the injury report. Obviously, we already hit on it. The big news for the Panthers, McCaffrey, Darnold, both at practice today, both very, very limited from the reports. Other big names that the Panthers are going to miss, J.C. Horn, their number 8 selection in the first round, is going to be on IR. He's been on there for a couple weeks. They also have another cornerback and a safety that are on IR that will not be playing. So a little thin in the secondary. And then another rookie for them, Terrence Marshall Jr., the rookie receiver out of LSU, is questionable in concussion protocol, just like Sam Darnold. So that's the injury report mainly for the Panthers. And then Cole, you know a lot more about the Patriots one, especially with practice today. So I'll let you take the Patriots one.
Yeah, Patriots. J.C. Jackson was not at practice today due to an illness. So obviously it's not COVID-19, or he would be on the COVID list, I would assume. So hopefully he gets some rest, is still able to watch some film, and hopefully he can be fresh and ready to go this weekend. I mean, illness on, what is it, Wednesday? So he's got a few days to get better. Jonnu, limited, not worried about him. Other than that, there's really nobody on the injury report that I'm too concerned about. I mean, it's a long injury list. We got like 11, 12 guys on the list again, but it's all the same guys who have kind of continued to be limited. Christian Barmore, limited with a foot injury, so that might be something just to keep an eye on a little bit. Other than that, Van Noy, Hightower, Uche, Shaq Mason, Jawan Bentley, Duggar, all these guys have kind of been limited for a while. So I think it's probably the same injuries kind of lingering a little bit. Nick Folk still limited, Cody Davis limited, but the only real thing to keep an eye on, I think, for this week is cornerback J.C. Jackson, seeing how he's getting better from that illness. Hopefully he can practice tomorrow, or if he can't, then he's got to be able to really go Friday to have a shot to play this weekend. Because if you're missing a whole week of prep, that's not great. So nothing too concerning. It was actually a decent health week for us this past week against the Chargers. Nobody too crazy. Hopefully that continues. You hate to see guys getting injured. So that was a little piece of good news from this week's injury report.
Yeah. Did you, Pat Scout, did you see this comment? Y'all see Brian Poole being elevated?
I did not.
He just commented this. Maybe this just happened. I don't know when it happened, but if
is he asking if we see him being elevated or what?
Oh, maybe he is asking.
Okay, I think that's
okay. That makes more sense.
Okay.
Pat Scout, if you're asking, yeah, we don't know the exact answer. I don't know if he's quite ready. It would definitely help. But obviously, if you elevate him, you do have to make room for him on the roster. So that would mean either one of the guys on the injury report isn't going to play, or you have to.
He could be one of our game day elevations.
Yeah, game day elevations, but you only get 2 of those before he's on the
three,
one of them. Yeah. So, yeah, it could be a thing. It would be nice to get him going, though. I think that you want to start getting him going and get his feet wet a little. So when we do start getting into these tougher games, Buffalo, Cleveland, teams like those, the Colts that are, big AFC opponents that we need to beat for the wild card, he's full go. So I would like to see him at least get a couple snaps this game. Hopefully they have some news about that. I wanted to share one more stat. Sorry. I pulled this up thinking about the pressures. Sam Darnold's completion percentage on the year is 60.8. Mac Jones falling a little under 70. He's at 68%. But when they are facing pressure, Mac Jones's completion percentage now goes to 56. Not horrible when you have pressure in your face. The big one that I want to talk about, Sam Darnold's drops to 49.4%. So under 50% for Sam Darnold when he has pressure in his face, kind of like what we talked about early, is getting pressure on him. And it shows right there in the stats how ineffective he's been, almost throwing it up and hoping, flip of a coin that you get a completion. So, but with that, when you get, him scrambling, hopefully he throws it up. Hopefully you have guys on the back end or on the front end that can contain him, because he can scramble with his feet, make a little play, make some plays on the run. And then also they have receivers, DJ Moore, that can go up and get it. So you hope some of these guys on the injury report that are questionable can come in and make plays on that ball to get those turnovers. So that's all I had to say. Last thing before we move on to the over-unders. But anything else?
In some good news, injury report wise, Kendrick Bourne was removed from the injury report from last week. He had, I think, shoulder injury. Also, Dietrich Wise was removed. Looks like I don't see him on this week's report, so that's another good thing. And Sean Wade also concussion. He's been out a few weeks now with that concussion injury. So if Brian Poole's not elevated, I could see Sean Wade maybe being active if they want to test out some guys at that corner position. We certainly could use the help, certainly could use the depth. So I would like to see what Brian Poole has, because I mean, if he plays well, he could be a guy that gets a decent amount of snaps with Miles Bryant. Maybe the two of them can switch in and out, different roles. But if somebody gets hurt, it'd be nice to know that we have another guy, either him or Sean Wade, that can step in and play some valuable snaps and be solid back there. So I'll be really curious to see what they do if they decide to activate Sean Wade for the first time, because he only played preseason, and I don't think he's been active for a game yet. So it'll be interesting to see if they trust him enough to activate him and play him some real snaps this weekend.
Yeah, Sean Wade only played 2 games in the preseason, 35 total reps. 26 of them were in coverage, and of those 26, according to Pro Football Focus, he graded out at a 70.6. He had 3
He did
targets.
play 2 games?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Okay, I thought he only played that last game for us.
Maybe he played like 1 rep on one game or something, but he had 3 targets 1 target on him, no completions, 1 interception. So a good showing in the preseason when he was with Baltimore, but we'll see how that continues over in the regular season. Yeah, he's another guy that I've been waiting to get activated, especially with the Jonathan Jones news and since the trade of Gilmore. So if he is full go, I'm excited to see Sean Wade step on the field for us for the first time.
Yeah, I am as well. Or AC got cut by the Jets last week. Unfortunately, our secondary and our safety position is pretty deep, so we don't really have a spot for him, but hopefully he finds a spot soon. I just saw that when I was looking at the preseason stat. But yeah, I'm excited to see what a couple of these guys have, and it'd be big if one of these guys could step up and actually fill a role for us, because I mean that corner position, lack of depth, that's what we've talked about. That's the reason they added 2 corners a couple weeks ago, but Miles Bryant's been playing really well so far. So if he continues to do that, I don't feel too bad about that position, as long as everybody stays healthy and continues to be good. But if JC Jackson for some reason can't play this weekend, we're definitely probably going to have to elevate Brian Poole and activate Sean Wade. Hopefully JC's good to go. I'm not really too concerned about it. Illness, usually something like that, you're fine for the weekend. So depending on when he started feeling like this, but should be good to go.
Yep, excited for that. Miles Bryant has played very well for his coverage snaps. 8 targets. He has allowed 8 receptions, 71 yards. But he has 1 PBU. He's always been in the vicinity and making good plays. Obviously, you see he's had 1 sack off the edge, and then another quarterback hit that he had last week. So he brings more to the game out of the slot than just coverage. He can come off the edge and put some pressure on the quarterback. But let's get into the Pats betting line. We do this do we start here? Yeah, we start here.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry.
I think so.
Yeah, we do. So
I usually ask you every week, so I don't know.
Yeah, I
Is
know.
this where we start?
This caught me off guard for some reason, because actually I know what it is. You say the records first, but we don't have the we don't have the template for that. That's what it is. So Cole's going to read off our records for the over/under player prop bets and for the spread picks on the year.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions, any more things you want us to touch on this Pats Panthers game or any of the other games, just drop them in the comments and we'll get to them when we can. But so over/unders this past week, I went 7-2. Jace went 6-3. So we both did pretty good. And then spread predictions, I was 4-2. Jace was also 4-2. So we both did pretty well overall this past week. And then total on the year, over/unders, I'm 15-18. Jace is 18-15. So we're flipped. And then spread predictions on the year, I am 17-15. He's 16-16. And then last week you nailed the prediction right on. I was 6 points off. I said 30-27. You said 27-24. So I am 2-3 score predictions on the year. You're 3-2.
Now, I'm not going to say I was cheering for that last touchdown, but it definitely hurt. It hurt less once they scored when I knew it was very likely to nail the score prediction. So,
Yep. I thought
I mean,
I might have got it right. I couldn't remember what my prediction was. I was like, this feels like it's pretty close to what mine was, and it was, but
it was.
You nailed it right on the head. So
I mean, you can't give me crap for not being a true fan now because you haven't guessed the correct score yet. So,
all right.
I'm the truest fan.
Yeah.
The truest of truest.
Just going over for every other team's yardage, and you're yeah, it's all right.
Oh well. So let's get into it. Patriots Panthers. It's going to be 1 p.m. Sunday. Patriots are a 3.5 point spread. Cole, I saw you click over real quick to make sure.
Check. Yeah, I have the
ahead.
Patriots covering this one minus the 3.5. I do think it is going to be a close game. I almost went the other way and had it as a 3-point game, but I'm hoping that we can get to Sam Darnold enough and our offense can make enough plays to have the Patriots cover this one. But I do think it is going to be a closer game than a lot of people are giving it credit for.
Yeah, I think this is a tough game. Like, I don't think New England can underestimate anything that the Panthers are going to do, especially with it being in Carolina. But I think that New England they're rolling, and Bill and the veterans in the locker room aren't going to let that slip. They know that they've already had a couple slip ups early. Mac is now going into his 9th game. A couple Barmore's going into his 9th game. We're finally getting Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, guys like that, rolling that we signed in the offseason. I think that we cover this easily because I think New England's rolling now. I think that this is the time where we really see New England speed up. We don't have a bye week either. And so we don't have to worry about, taking a break and getting off track. We have four more weeks until our bye week where we can just, push ahead and hopefully win all 4 of them out. That would be great going into the bye.
6
weeks,
5 more games before
5 more games.
So we got this week, Browns, Falcons, Titans, Bills, and then I think we have a bye week and then the Colts, which the thing that sucks about that, usually you're like, okay, we get 2 weeks to prepare for a team. We have an advantage, but the Colts are on their bye that week before too. So it's like the schedule makers just wanted to crap on us this year. The Chargers had a bye before we played them last week. The Jets had a bye before we played them 2 weeks ago.
I'm telling you, teams need that long to prepare when Bill doesn't. So it's equal. It's equal. That's what the NFL is. The NFL is saying Bill is so good at preparing his team. We need to give the other team 2 weeks and then they'll still lose. So it's okay.
Yep. All right. Okay.
So, no, both have New England covering that spread. That's good. And then let's get in over under Patriots Panthers 41 points here.
I have under, I think, right? Yep. I have under just barely. I got the under on this one. 2 good defenses, 2 offenses that have kind of been up and down, but against good defense. We haven't seen the Patriots offense really thrive against a good defense yet this year. Chargers, we didn't really thrive against, and their defense isn't even good. Their secondary is pretty solid, but Cowboys doesn't have a great defense. Their defense is okay. I'd say that's probably the best we played against a good defense. But other than that, Saints defense is good. We really struggled against them. That was earlier in the year. So I don't see this being a super high scoring game. I think both defenses are going to be able to do their jobs for the most part and make this a little bit of a lower scoring game.
I am all on the over train. Life is too short to bet the under, in my opinion. But no, I can definitely see this being a low scoring game. 2 great defenses. I have a feeling, New England has been going. If Carolina gets Christian McCaffrey back, I feel very good about the over. If not, then I think that it's close.
Yep.
To the under. So
I think that's fair.
I'm going to go with the over though, be a little different, make it a little interesting. So let's go with the over 41 here.
I agree on that one. You got anything?
Let's get into this. Pat Scout IG asked something. Let me hear some hot takes for Sunday before we get into our score prediction. Hot takes for Sunday.
Hot takes. Yikes. You got any off the top of your head?
Hot takes. I'm going to go with a depleted secondary. Mac's first 400-yard game.
Wow. That is a hot take.
I think that this is a better run-stopping defense than pass-stopping defense with where their secondary is. Now, Gilmore does make it a little scary. I'm going to go with Mac's first 400-yard passing game. And now You said hot takes. That might be sizzling hot.
That's steaming hot right there. Okay. All right.
Yes,
All
give me the
right.
eye emojis.
The eye emojis. Yep. Okay.
It's a
all
hot
right.
take, so I mean, I don't know how much I actually believe it, but when he throws for over 400, I'll be a true fan right here. So
Okay. I'm gonna say Kendrick Bourne gets over 100 yards receiving.
I like it.
How's that?
That ties into mine, right? If Mac Jones throws to 100 yards to Kendrick Bourne, I'm feeling good about him going over 400.
Does Jacoby get his first touchdown?
Ooh, no.
Nah, I don't think so either.
I'm sorry. I love Jacoby, but I can't keep holding out hope for him.
He deserves it so much too. It's unfortunate. They have been trying to feature him in the red zone. Like the past couple weeks, they've been trying to feed him the ball a little bit. They throw a fade route to him, which just was awful, terrible.
Yeah, it's almost like they're forcing it.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Forcing it, so it needs to be natural. So Jacoby Myers.
Pat Scout, what's your hot take? Drop it in the comments. We'll talk about it.
Here's my hot take of Jacoby Myers. He will throw another passing touchdown before he catches another passing touchdown.
I hate to hear that.
I do too, but I think that it's due. Kendrick Bourne's thrown one this year. I think that they got another trick up their sleeve, and maybe this is the week against a pretty competent defense that is pretty aggressive, selling out on the run. Maybe you can get him to bite on a little trick play, and Jacoby Myers can dump one over to Aguilar.
How's this? I got one more hot take. All right.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yep.
Christian Barmore.
Ooh, I like it already.
Gets one. We'll go with one tackle for a loss and 2 sacks, along with Miles Bryant's first pick.
Okay, that's a very hot defensive take.
Yep.
That's a very hot defensive take.
We're going for it.
Pat Scout says Jonnu goes off with 100 yards and a touchdown. Got to get him more involved. Agree. He does have to get more involved.
This would be a great time for a breakout game against a tough defense. That would help us out a lot.
This would. So I got one more hot take.
All right, let's hear it.
Trent Brown keeps his ass on his couch. All right, moving on.
That's not a hot take. That's the coldest take I've ever heard. That's guaranteed. We already know that.
What do you
mean?
We
already know that. Trent Brown will sit on the couch the rest of the year, probably. We already know that. That's a cold
will
take.
He get up to eat a bonbon?
Probably not. No, his calf, dude, it's tight. I mean, it hurts. He's really struggling.
All right, well, let's get on to our score prediction here. Thank you for the comments.
One more. Ramondre Stevenson outrushes Damian Harris. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I don't know about that one. I like it, though. That is a hot take. So maybe he breaks off another 91-yarder like in the preseason.
There we go.
Let's see. All right, well, here's our score predictions.
I think we should do this. I think we might have to do this each week because this is kind of fun. I think it'll be fun to look back at these and see how terrible they were and if we nail one week.
I like it. Pat's Scout IG might have just
good idea, Pat.
Given us a new segment. That means you have to be here every week to assist us with it. So
we're gonna need to hear your hot takes each week too. So
as long as you're in here, we will do the hot takes. I like it. But let's get into our score prediction. Cole, lower scoring game, hitting the under 23-17 New England. I'm going higher score, 31-21 New England. Cole, give us your reasoning first.
Yeah, I think 2 good defenses. It might be a lower scoring game, like I mentioned, and with the uncertainty if McCaffrey or Darnold's going to play, if they're missing one of those guys, that's going to make it a little easier for our defense. So I'm gonna go with a lower scoring game. If we score 30 on this defense, I'll be really happy, and I think that's going to be a great sign that this team is really progressing and moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I've put that 30 number up there a lot, and we haven't reached it except for the Jets game.
Except when we scored 54.
Yeah, which probably is an outlier, but
gotten close a couple times.
Yeah,
Chargers
we've
27, Cowboys
we've gotten
29.
close. Yeah, I like it. I think that it's a good number that we are within striking distance of. If we clean up that Chargers game in the red zone alone, we hit the 30. So I still think there's things to clean up. I still think Mac Jones didn't play his greatest ball last week that we had seen, completion percentage wise, especially. He's going to come out, hit his first 400-yard game, which leads us to a 30-plus point game on offense.
All right. My take feels even hotter right now, especially with Kendrick Bourne in the doghouse because he just fumbled last week, and he's going
to get 0 reps.
After that fumble, I don't think he played another snap. So that's might be sizzling hot take. We'll see.
Wait, you should have said N'Keal Harry 100 yards. That would have been smoking hot.
Yikes. Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think that's probably I think if I said N'Keal Harry 10-yard game, that'd be a hot take. That might be people like, oh, really? 10 yards?
Come
for
on, he
N'Keal?
had more than 10 last week. Give him the respect.
You're right. He did have 2 catches.
Put some respect on his name. So now let's get into our player prop bets here. I'll read these off again. The actual lines weren't out, but I do have reasoning behind all these. But here we go. Mac Jones, 237.5 yards. He is now up over 200 and he's averaging over 240 yards a game at, let me pull this exact number up. He is averaging, because of his 300-yard game, he's averaging right under 250 at 249.5 yards per game. So this is about 20 or about 10 yards under, but 237.5 yards over or under for Mac Jones.
Well, I'm gonna guess you're saying over based on your 400-yard prediction.
I'm gonna go under. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
okay.
I'm gonna go over.
I'm gonna go under on this one. Just 237.5. He got that against the Jets, against the Bucks, and against the Saints and Miami. So I guess he's got it against a couple good defenses. He's 4 for 4, right? I'm gonna have to go under. Yeah, I'm gonna go under on this one. Just this defense is pretty solid, low scoring game. We might not be in the red zone a ton. We'll see how it goes. I honestly don't feel that great about that because he has had some good games against, not good games necessarily, but higher passing yards against some tough defenses, just based on, I think, probably having to throw the ball more against a good team. But I'm gonna go with under on this one.
All right, I like it. Other half of this, the quarterback Sam Darnold, I have him super low. He has been, his last 5 games passing yards, 129, 112, 207, 177, and then 301. So I have him set over or under 205 passing yards.
Wow.
He has only gone over 200 yards.
I'm gonna go
twice.
under. I'm gonna go under, I guess. Wow, that's low. I mean, you look at his first few games when he had McCaffrey, 279, 305, 304, 301.
Yep.
And then he loses McCaffrey and he goes 177, 207, 112, 129. So I'm gonna have to go under on this one, I guess. That's really low.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go with the over here too. Over here, especially if Christian McCaffrey isn't playing, because I don't think that the running game is nearly as potent with Christian McCaffrey not playing. They're going to have to open it up and throw it some more. And I still think there's weaknesses there. And I'm not saying this because I'm a homer. I know you're already going to say I'm a freaking
auto homer.
Yeah, come on. I love the Panthers. Stephon Gilmore is my hero.
I bet.
So I'm going to go over here. Not by much, but I'm going to go over.
Well, I'm not surprised. Going over on the opposing team stats. That's nothing new. Just every week to week. Austin Eckler, now Sam Darnold. You want to touch on this comment before we move on?
Yeah, I do. Kyle Van Noy, I don't think he's had the season that we all thought he would coming in. He's actually not our lowest graded linebacker. Brandon King is our lowest graded linebacker. Give him some credit. Come on. Wow. Just kidding. Brandon King only has 2 snaps. But yes, Kyle Van Noy, him and Dante Hightower are our 2 lowest graded linebackers, which I don't think a lot of people would have thought. Dante Hightower 54.1, Kyle Van Noy 52.6. So I think that I think where most of their impact is coming right now is their veteran leadership and their experience in the organization. And honestly, you'd like to see them play better on the field. But I like what they've been doing with these young guys, a lot of young new guys on the team. Even Judon, he's not a young guy, but he's new to this organization. Guys like Kyle Van Noy, Dante Hightower helped him get this bum off the team. No, Brandon's good.
Bill will never cut him. Bill will never ever cut him in his life. He loves Brandon King so much. He let Brandon King give him that haircut where he shaved his head or whatever. He's on the roster for life. He's got a spot.
Yeah. So yeah, I've definitely been a little bit disappointed with the play of them, but I think that they're gonna come on. I don't think that they're gonna hurt us the rest of the year. They might not necessarily help us, Dante Hightower and both Calvin Noy getting up there in age, but they're going to be guys down the stretch that are going to get better. They know how to handle a long season in the NFL. They know how to handle winning games in New England. They've done it for a while. So
yep.
Play on the field hasn't been great, but I think they add a little bit more, and that's where the leniency is coming.
I agree. Damian Harris, what you got on this one? Over, under, 1.5?
1.5 rushing touchdowns. This is tough. I set this one kind of high because I felt like if it was half a touchdown, we'd both hit the over. But I'm going to go under here because I think he only gets one.
Why am I not surprised? I mean,
hey, that's because Mac Jones is going for 400.
Over on the
That's because Mac Jones is going for 400, baby.
You're betting on Sam Darnold and betting against Damian Harris. I mean,
I'm going on. Okay, whatever.
I mean, I don't get it. You know, do you want this to be called the Panthers Drive podcast or like the?
Can we change it? Is it too late?
No, I think we can make up a logo. I guess it'll be the Panthers Drive podcast.
Dope. And then next week, will it be the Browns Drive podcast?
Yeah, that seems like you should just change your username every week to not last week it was Chargers Drive, this week Panthers Drive, next week Browns Drive.
Sounds good.
Unbelievable. I'm gonna go under as well. He's only had 2 touchdowns once this year. I do think he could get a touchdown here because we seem to like to feature him in the red zone. He's like 6th in touchdowns this year, rushing touchdowns, so that's pretty solid. So, but I'm gonna go under as well.
All right, and then because of the question to Christian McCaffrey and whether he will be playing or not, this line was set just Panthers rushing. Doesn't matter who it is. 85.5 yards over or under.
85.5, huh?
Yep.
Yikes.
Because I felt like, you know, if I add all players, this could be Sam Darnold too, and he could have a 20-yard scramble, and this would make it very, very likely that he hits over 80. So, yeah, I put this kind of high, but I think that this counts for anyone rushing the ball, just total rushing yards.
I mean, if McCaffrey's playing, I'm going to say over for sure. If he's not, it's probably under. Yikes, this is tough. So Carolina on the year is averaging 106.8 rushing yards per game. Oh, opponent rushing yards per game. Just kidding. That's opponent. Okay, so
they're averaging 2? No. Why can't I find this either?
NFL team opponent rushing yards per game. I don't want opponent. I want regular. NFL stats. Rushing offense. Rushing yards per game. Okay, here we go. Carolina is at 114.5 rushing yards per game. So I guess I'll go over, even though our rushing defense has been pretty solid this year. I guess I'll go over just based on their season average and betting on McCaffrey playing even in some capacity, even though he's just as much of a threat in the backfield as a pass catcher as he is a runner. I guess I'll go over on this one.
Yeah,
I was gonna go under, but then I saw that stat.
Changed your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, even Chuba Hubbard, who will most likely play if Christian McCaffrey is not out, hasn't even gone over 85. He's only gone over it once, and that was against Philadelphia, 101. He got close with 82 yards last week against Atlanta, but I'm going to go over here too because Sam Darnold can scramble, and since we are including that, I'm going to do that. So
we got a one added to the over-under totals. Over-under 3 dumb faces from Steve Belichick. What you got?
Well, I think his face is just dumb in general. So is he going to get 3 or more views on TV? Probably. So I'm going to go over.
I'm going to go under on dumb faces televised, but I'm going to go way over on dumb faces in the game. Cause I think anytime they pan to him, he's probably making some type of face on the sideline based off the one time he's been televised, what we saw. So
do you think that Steve Belichick has been televised more this year than Bill has? After what happened with the faces, I feel like the camera crew wants to put him on now because they want to catch another viral meme of hhim.
Yeah,
and if you turn to Bill, it's just like this.
Yeah.
So at least you can get.
You're never going to get a reaction out of Bill.
Could you imagine Bill doing something like that? The internet would break, bro.
We're clipping that, and that is going to be the preview to the episode this week.
Bill's just sitting there like this.
It's just going to be zoomed in of you doing that.
Okay, well, there's your meme, Patriots fans, for the week. But so we're both going over here. Jacoby Myers right here. We talked about it. No touchdown, both of us thought, but over 45.5 receiving yards.
You go first on this one.
I'm gonna go over. I like Jacoby Myers. I think that this is a game where he's gonna be in the slot, and I don't think Gilmore does some of his best defending in the slot, so maybe he's going to be on Aguilar a little bit more. So I'm going to go over here. I just like Jacoby Myers. I think he's Mr. Consistent for us, and he can get this very easily.
So when we played the Raiders last year, he was on Aguilar, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, he was.
Henry Ruggs was out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And now he's out for life.
That's tough, dude. That situation sucks. You hate to see anything like that happen.
Yes.
But I mean, I don't know what he was thinking. His blood alcohol content was over twice the legal limit, and that apparently gets tested when you're in the hospital, which was definitely probably an hour or two after the incident. So it was probably even higher than that. He was 22 years old. The girl in the car that he killed was 23, and she had a dog in there as well that died. It's a horrible situation. So that you hate to see that. But moving on to more positive stuff, Jacoby Myers. But you had the
yeah. I'm going over. He
okay.
I mean, he's hit this. Well, he's been at 44 twice in the last 5 games. 44 against the Jets, 44 against Dallas, 37 last week. But he had 9 targets last week. Now that was a little bit of New England force feeding him. But if he gets 9 targets this week, which I think maybe he probably should, he's our most reliable pass catcher, maybe outside of Kendrick Bourne as of late. He should get over this 45 yards easily.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the history, the past 4 games, you'd probably say under. I'm gonna go with over though as well, just because I think Mac's going to be more accurate this week than he was last week. I don't think he wants to have a game like that. And I think if he would have been more accurate last week, Jacoby would have went for probably 50, mid 50s for yards. So yeah. I'm going to go over. I think if Gilmore's on him, it's probably going to be under. Even I don't love that matchup necessarily. Gilmore's good, but he might be limited in snap count again. So we'll see about that. But I'm going to go with over on Jacoby. Even though I don't really feel that good about that one, but I'll go over.
All right. DJ Moore now 66.5 receiving yards. He is averaging 80.6 yards per game. He has hit over 66.5 3 times in the last 5 games, 113 against the Cowboys, 73 against the Vikings, and 73 against the Giants. So pretty consistent at getting over 66 as of late. But what do you have over under?
I'm going to go under on this one. I think, especially if McCaffrey's out, all their attention is going to be on DJ Moore. If Robbie Anderson beats you, okay, he beats you, but he hasn't been that great this year. DJ Moore is their most explosive player. I think it's going to be JC on him, maybe even with a little help, or maybe JC covers Robbie Anderson and we put Mills on DJ Moore with safety help, and we kind of double him or bracket him in some circumstances. But I'm going to go under. I have confidence. Usually Bill takes away their best weapon, and he's their best weapon right now.
I agree. New England does a great job at taking him guys away. Hopefully JC Jackson plays. And then I definitely feel good about hitting the under on this. But let's give the kicker some love. Nick Folk, over or under 2.5 field goals. Now he had 4 last week. Last week he's been very consistent for New England this year. 2 against the Jets, 4 against Houston, and then obviously he only made 1 against Tampa Bay. Missed his
none against Dallas. That's odd.
Yeah, none against Dallas. It's because we're so dominant.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over on this one. There's a reason Nick Folk's the number 1 kicker in fantasy football right now, because he kicks a lot of field goals, and we've had a little bit of red zone struggles at some points in this season. So tough defense. I'm gonna say we might not be able to capitalize in the red zone at some points, and we might have to kick some field goals. That kind of leads into my lower scoring game. So I'm gonna go over.
I'm gonna go under. This is Mac Jones zone for over 400. New England scoring 30. That's because we're putting the ball in the end zone. So I'm going with the under here. I think he's going to get 2, though, at least. I mean, if you put up 30, you score 24 points and kick 2 field goals, that's 30 points right there. And that's still technically that would be 3 field goals.
I was going to say, how you could put it up 24 without field goals.
You get to 28, and yeah. So you can get safeties. Come on, bro.
All right. So okay.
I'm going to go with safeties that over field goals. So
you're predicting 2 touchdowns.
Yep. Spot on.
3 safeties.
Yep. Perfect.
And then 2 field goals from Nick Folk.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Maybe 4 safeties.
I've seen crazier.
All right. Yep. Okay,
All right, here
that
we
should
go.
be your bold prediction. That should have been what you picked right there.
Multiple safeties.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Patriots defense right here. 4 sacks last week. Over or under 1.5 sacks this week?
I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna say they get pressure on him and force him into a couple bad mistakes. He seems like a guy who I don't know this stats wise, but based off what I've watched from him, he's not necessarily the best at avoiding pressure. Sometimes seems like he is not, I guess, susceptible, I guess, a little bit to sacks. So I'm going to go over for this one. Have confidence in our defensive line, and especially with Christian Barmore having 2 on his own in my prediction, we got to go over, I guess.
Yep, I'm hitting the over too. I think that this is probably one of the easiest ones for me in this segment that we did today. No brainer. We're going to get pressure on him. I read off the pressures allowed by the offensive lineman for them. They're susceptible to getting it. I think that we get it over 1.5 easily. So let's get into our game picks. That wraps up our player picks. Let's start with the Thursday night football one. The amazing New York Jets at the Indianapolis Colts. Jets coming off of a big time win against the Bengals. Colts coming off of a tough loss to the Titans. Titans might have lost more though with the loss of Derrick Henry, but Colts 10.5 point favorite.
They put him back on the field after that injury, huh?
I didn't know that until I didn't know that until I saw it, like when he got hurt, and then when they put him back on, I was like, oh geez.
I mean, that's questionable.
Yep. So do you have your little against the spread tool to help you out now?
Oh, yep, I do. Let me see. Let's see it. Hey,
Well,
Indianapolis.
The Jets are 2-5. Just know that.
Colts are 5-3. So I guess it makes sense to go with the Colts on this one. I don't know. I don't love that 10.5 point spread. The Jets have been a wild card a little bit against better teams. It's tough. They either lose by 40 or they make it a lot tighter of a game than people expect. They beat the Titans, which they beat the Colts twice already this year. But I mean, I don't like this. I was gonna take the Jets plus 10.5, but the against the spread says otherwise. I'll take Indianapolis, I guess.
Yeah, I'm taking Indianapolis too. I think it was a good win by them, by the Jets, but it was a fluke. I don't think Mike White can do that again against a better.
Now they got tape on him for a game and a half.
Yeah, and the Colts can run the ball effectively. Michael Pittman's been great, and really the Colts probably should have beat the Titans last week if they didn't have a couple bad mistakes.
Carson Wentz wasn't just extremely
himself
special. Yeah,
if he wasn't himself,
if he wasn't Carson Wentz, if it was any other,
maybe if he was Warson Kentz or something, then they would have won. But
yeah, Warson Kentz wouldn't have made that mistake. He wouldn't have thrown that ball.
Never. No. So yeah, both go with the Colts covering right here. Let's move on. The 4:05 on Sunday. Chargers at Eagles. Chargers only a 2-point favorite here.
Yeah, that's shocking to me. I got the Chargers covering that for sure. It's basically who you think is going to win. I think the Chargers, even though they've been struggling a little bit, maybe teams have figured them out somewhat. I know the Eagles had a huge win last week. They blew out, I think, Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Which Detroit's actually played some tight games with some teams, but this Eagles team, I don't have enough confidence in them. I think the Chargers are really talented offensively, and if they get some of their pieces back from injury this week, I think they should be able to beat this Eagles team by more than 2 points.
Yeah, I agree. Chargers here. They're coming off of 2 bad losses now, both getting blown out by the Ravens, going on by, coming back and losing at home against the Patriots last week. So they got to bounce back. I think that they do that here in fashion. Justin Herbert is the way better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. I couldn't. Now I can't get Carson Wentz out of my head, especially going from the Colts to the Eagles. All I wanted to say was Carson Wentz, and then I knew it was like similar to it. But yeah, then Jalen Hurts. So I'm going to go with the Chargers also. 4:25 game. This is a tough one. NFC West battle here. Good division in football. Cardinals at the Niners. Cardinals 1.5 point favorite.
I'm going to go with the Cardinals bouncing back. Tough loss last week. Kyler Murray with AJ Green. They missed DeAndre Hopkins most of that game. Hopefully he's back this week, and it's going to be at the Niners place. Niners have kind of been up and down. They've had some decent games, had some not so decent games. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals bouncing back on this one.
All right. I am going to go with the Niners here, only because the Kyler Murray is, questionable, and he wasn't at practice today, at least for the open portion of practice.
See, these are the things you got to tell me.
No, you got to look them up.
This is ridiculous.
Come on. I'll let you switch if you want to.
No. I'll stick with it.
I mean, if
Kyler Murray's if Kyler Murray's out, I would say Niners. But if I am assuming he's playing, is it like a serious possibility he misses the game?
So I think the thing that's not going to make him miss is that they played Thursday, and so they have 4 extra days of rest on the long week, right? So they played last Thursday against the Packers. Yep. Now he has 4 extra days. So it's an extended week. Now he was
still not great that he's missing practice on a Wednesday.
He was not present for the open part of practice today.
What's the injury?
It's a medial ankle sprain.
Oh, yikes. That was what happened late in that game, right before he threw that pick, right? On that play.
Yep. So Jay Glazer reported that the injury was a 1 to 3 type of sprained ankles, saying that it was medial. So hoping that he doesn't have to miss time, but it's a possibility. And maybe I don't think that this would be one that they hold him out because it's a conference game, but I'm going to go Kyler Murray doesn't play. And if he does, he's a little hobbled. Maybe he can't run as much. And so I'm going to go with the Niners here, even though I'm not too high on the Niners. I don't know. Haven't been impressed with them this year, but be different. Go with the Niners. All right. Sunday night football here. Titans, Rams. Rams, 7.5 point favorite. Probably Derrick Henry being out.
What are your thoughts? Out,
yeah.
I'm going to go. That's a big spread.
That is a very big spread.
I'm going to go with the Titans. I think it's that big because Derrick Henry, and I'm honestly pretty concerned picking the Titans, especially if Von Miller's playing. That's another added piece of that defense. Is just ridiculous. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. I mean, much at all. And I think that offense really is heavily dependent on running the football. I think the only reason that team is as successful as they are is because Derrick Henry is such a beast. And if you do a play action fake with Derrick Henry in the backfield, that entire team is biting, because if they don't, Derrick Henry's going to run for 10 yards a carry. So that's what I'm a little concerned about in picking the Titans, is that, hey, Derrick Henry's out. That rushing threat is not on their offense anymore. They just signed Adrian Peterson to the practice squad. He's probably going to need some time he probably won't jump out of the gate with 20 carries. He's probably going to need some time to get back into football shape and be ready to go, unless he's, really been training hard. But even then, it still takes some time to get your feet under you. So I'm a little concerned in that aspect, especially Jalen Ramsey. Julio Jones has had a calf injury, so if he doesn't play, Jalen Ramsey's going to be fine on AJ Brown. And if that's the case, if Julio doesn't play, I think the Rams cover this spread, but I'm going to go with Titans. It's kind of a big spread for two good football teams.
All right, here we go. Ready for my stat that's going to make you mad?
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks for watching.
The Titans have allowed the 5th most receiving yards in the league, 2,200. The LA Rams lead the league, or are second in the league in receiving yards, 2,400. So I don't think this is a good matchup for the Titans secondary. I think that Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, Robert Woods, Tyler Higbee are going to have a heyday on this secondary. And it's hard to bounce back when you're going on the road now and you're going to be now missing probably an MVP type of player. Definitely an MVP type of player. Might have been the MVP this year, at least up there in the race. So I'm going to go with the Rams covering this big spread off of how good Cooper Kupp and that passing game has been and how bad their Titans pass defense has been.
And that entire time I was just talking about the game and why I'm concerned about the Titans. I was talking myself out of that and wanting to pick the Rams, but I already said Titans, so I'm going to stick with them.
All right. Well, let's move on. Monday Night Football, Bears at Steelers. Steelers 6-point favorites here.
What you got?
Oh, you want me to go first now, eh?
Yeah. Are you from Canada? Hey.
That reminds me, this is a funny story. When me and my parents went back to the AFC Championship game, Patriots against Steelers, we got a rental car and the car was in kilometers per hour. So the whole time we're driving in like 80 kilometers and I'm on my phone, like converting kilometers to miles per hour so we could see it. And that's then we get out and the license plate says Ontario, Canada. And so the whole time we're like, hey, we're from Quebec, eh? We're from Ontario, eh? So that was kind of a funny story now that you say, am I from Canada? Because the second time I went to a Patriots game, I did that. But I'm going to go
fake from Canada.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a Canadian Patriots fan, eh? So no, This one's tough. Steelers didn't look necessarily great against the Browns last week, but the Browns have kind of struggled to put up points here. The Bears receiving is abysmal, though, man. I mean, I saw a thing today. I forgot what Patriots page posted it. But Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne have more receiving yards than the whole Bears receiving staff combined. And that doesn't seem like a lot, because I don't think that Kendrick Bourne and Jacoby Myers are combining for a crazy amount of numbers. So it's probably a good chunk, but not crazy. So I'm going to go with the Steelers here. Their defense is great. TJ Watt puts pressure on Micah Fitzpatrick, Devin Bush at the linebacker position. I'm going to go with the Steelers covering it here. Although it is a little bigger from of a spread on primetime football Sunday night.
That's also why I went Titans, is because all these primetime games have been a lot closer than you would expect. They pretty much all came down to the wire. We've had some really good primetime games. I'm going to go with the Steelers as well. Yikes. I lied. I'm not going to go with the Steelers. I'm going to go with the Bears.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I got the Steelers defense this week in fantasy, so I'm hoping that they do a little better. Yikes. I mean, Steelers have won. They beat the Browns by 5, Seahawks by 3, Broncos by 8, and the Broncos stink. I mean, the Steelers really haven't been playing that well either, even though the Bears are bad too. Yikes. I guess I'll go with the Bears. I'll be different. But whatever, Bears.
Oh gosh, Pat Scout IG said he posted that. Do we need to get on and look at this real quick?
Oh boy,
he posted my clip.
The Bears thing. No, the Bears thing. I think you were talking about.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Yep, it was. Yep, right here. This is crazy. Yep, he has it. Yep. So combined, Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne, 815 yards. Allen Robinson, 800, or sorry, not Allen Robinson. He's the pitcher on there. Bears receiving 803 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 receiving touchdowns on the year. That's what Jacoby and Kendrick have. Obviously, both of them Kendrick Bourne. But the whole staff only has 3 more receptions than Jacoby and Kendrick combined, 74 to 71. So yeah, I'm not too impressed with both the passing game of Justin Fields and the receiving attack.
What are the odds of that?
That's the Steelers. Funny. Yep. So I'm gonna go with the Steelers here.
Yeah. I guess I'll go with the Bears. I don't like that. I don't like this one. Whatever. Well, I'll go with the Bears. We'll see what happens.
Primetime games have been close. World, so no one picked the Jets.
I mean, I don't think the Bears are going to win. I think the Steelers are going to win, but I'll pick the Bears to cover.
Yeah. That's the thing is we've picked these spreads before where they're 6 points, but this could easily be a 3-point game going down in the wire, and the Bears just can't get in field goal range, or maybe the Steelers kick a last-second field goal. It's tough. Primetime football, always closer than what everyone expects. So that makes me a little uneasy about my pick, but I'm going to stick with the Steelers.
Yeah, I'll go
Pittsburgh, too. Pittsburgh gets pretty crazy on Sunday night games.
That's a factor for sure. That's probably why it's a 6-point spread, because usually they give you 3 points for being at home, especially in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. That's probably a reason the spread's 6.
Yep.
On primetime.
Cool. Well, there's our spread picks, our player picks.
Our hot takes.
Our hot takes, yeah. Pat's IG giving us the inspiration. So, Patriots take on the Panthers Sunday. Try to improve to 5-4 on the year. Going to be a good game. We won't have a post-game show. Cole is in Florida. Maybe we'll try to work something out, but Cole will definitely have all the updates on his Instagram still. I'm sure you won't stop posting that. We just can't hop on the podcast. So make sure you follow his Instagram so that you can see all those during the game and after the game if you do not have access to watch it. But excited to see the Patriots play again. Always fun, especially with how they're rolling right now. So
yeah, should be a good game. It's going to be a tough challenge. Another test, more for this offense than this defense, but I'm excited to see how they do. It's going to be a big week. If they win this one, move to 5-4, heading at home against the Browns. Patriots are also undefeated on the road so far this year. 3-0 on the road? 3-0 on the road this year. So it's going to be a good one. I'm excited to see it. Wonderful job, fellas. Thank you. I appreciate that, Pat Scout. But yeah, no episode Sunday or Wednesday, but we might hop on Instagram Live together, do like a quick 10-15 minute recap of the game against the Panthers Sunday. I'm not positive about that. I'll keep you guys updated on my Instagram and everything, and Still going to be posting like normal, doing all that stuff, but we'll be away, so won't be able to do the episodes. But after that, when I get back, we'll be right back into it, normal schedule, and we'll make sure to we'll probably have an extra episode for you guys to catch up on anything that we missed talking about. But should be a good one. You got anything else, Jason?
Nope. Go Patriots.
Yeah.
Have fun in Florida.
Thank you.
Sorry,
should be
just
fun.
Told everyone where you're vacationing to, but there's a lot of different places in Florida. So
yeah, exactly.
If they're that good at finding you, they should probably work for the FBI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm not too concerned about that, but yeah, should be a good game. Should be fun. Go follow Jace at the sportsbell_podcast. He may or may not be making a Pat's page soon. Maybe not. We'll see.
We are in the talks of doing something for that. So
I think
stay
tuned. Yep. So we'll keep you guys updated on that as well if that happens. So you guys will have to go follow him, and we'll see what happens or doesn't with that. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. We appreciate you guys. Pat Scout IG especially for tuning in today, commenting a bunch of stuff, asking some questions. Coming up with a fun new topic that we can talk about, some hot takes. I think that'll be fun. So should be a good one though. So we will see you guys maybe Sunday afternoon after the game for a little quick preview, but we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
We're on to Cincinnati.